allow anyone to tell you that you're doing too little or too much. Only you know what is placed on your heart to do, based on your experiences, based on what you've seen, based on how you feel, based on your knowledge, based on what you can contribute. There's so many factors. So I think as long as you're using a medium, a platform to spread awareness, to take action, then you're contributing to the movement. And I've been feeling really drained, and I know a lot of people have. Just, there's so many layers to this thing on a small scale for us individually, and also on this macro scale, and dismantling the systems that no longer work and no longer serve us and support us. And we're also trying to balance that out with our own lives, causing us to examine what are the systems within ourselves, within our lives, that also need to be dismantled and reworked from the ground up. And we're always doing this work, whether you're conscious of it or not. It's so important to understand why people are silent too, and not just to shame people that are being silent, because there was a lot of fear around that growing up. So it's very important to look at the root cause. That you don't just push someone into, maybe coming out, for example, as LGBT, because you want them to wait until they have reconciled that within themselves and they're ready to accept themselves and accept whatever comes with that. And then they can, once they receive that confidence, they're able to go out there. Someone, has been assaulted or raped, and they are silenced, right? There could be a safety issue. There could be so many different factors that affect that. And we know that there's a process, and we know that the mental health aspect of it is very important. And the healing process can take time. So I want us to be just as sensitive to that when we're experiencing this sort of high intensity type of movement, because I think when people feel frustrated, they just want other people to also feel frustrated, and everybody just jump in. The people that are around you, whether they're your friends, your family, whoever, that are being silent, dig deeper. Don't go straight to judgment or straight to thinking they don't care or this, that, or the third. It could be that they need to educate themselves a little bit more in order to speak on some of these issues, because we're not all as informed, right? Even though we have these devices at our fingertips, and we're in 2020, but still, there's so many distractions out there and so much misinformation. It's better to be clear on your thoughts and what you want to say before you go out there and put some words out. We want to honor people's process, is what I'm trying to say. I just want to talk about responding in a way of silence, because it was something that was modeled to me, and it was something that brought on a lot of fear growing up. Like I said in the first video, I grew up in a home that was very stifling, where I didn't feel comfortable expressing myself and my opinions and all of that, right? And then that was further perpetuated in other systems. I remember having a puppy when I was maybe 11 or 12, and my parents didn't want the dog inside, so we kept it outside. And our neighbor, this white elderly couple, one day he was talking to me about the dog, and this is how you should take care of a dog. He's like, I'd love for my wife to talk to you about this thing. And he calls to her, and he's like, come out here and talk to Barbara. I hear her say, no, but she's black. And then he went inside to talk to her, and I heard her say it again, but she's black. I don't want to talk to her. I remember telling my dad about it, and his response, which was, and I love my dad, but his response was to not get involved, don't worry about it, oh, that's just how they are, don't let it bother you. He was very non-confrontational, and him modeling that to me and not showing me how to stand up for myself, or that I even should, was one of the many lessons of don't speak up. Allow yourself to be mistreated, whether it was abuse in the home or, you know, any confrontations I would have with anyone out at school or at church, or if we were out in public. If I complained about something in even the slightest aggressive manner, I was always told to, nope, no, bring it back down. Don't worry about it. Remember, you're a Christian. Remember, you're a good girl. Remember to be quiet. So I was constantly being reinforced to remember these values. And so that became the way that I coped with everything and handled everything, was to follow the rules and not be confrontational, even when I wanted to. And part of that was because I knew that I wasn't going to get the support and the backing that I needed from my parents. So there was a level of safety that I didn't feel even at home. The idea that it's greater and it's more impactful to speak up and speak out than to settle for bullshit, settle for unfair treatment, and just take it. And so I learned that how to respond to situations that were uncomfortable by just taking it and enduring it and being the bigger person all the time. And so that being a part of my foundation didn't allow me to feel safe, even within my own skin. I had already internalized the message that my voice didn't matter, that I wasn't going to be heard anyway, or that if I did express myself, I wouldn't be believed or I wouldn't be supported. Your subconscious holds a lot of beliefs that are operating in the background that you don't even know. And it's not that I didn't learn how to speak up and voice my opinion in safe spaces later on. Then the message was, okay, it's safe to express myself in places where it's accepted, where I feel that there is a, the people around me are like-minded, there's common energy, that I'm going to be validated in that space. But I would have to check the temperature first. So that was my sort of survival mechanism. And then the next step after that is to gain the courage and the self-validation so that it's not, my expressing myself is not conditional based on the environment and whether or not it's open and willing to validate me, right? The next step after that is to claim your own sense of worth, to know that you are worthy, no matter what room you're in or who you're around, whether they're going to accept you or not, disagree with you or not, understand you or not, and then to express yourself anyway. That is not an easy place to come to when you're transitioning and breaking those old patterns and mindsets and beliefs about yourself. Don't underestimate the internal work that has to be done for people who have been silenced, and it's has taken a psychological effect on them, right? Because they've been beaten down for so many years and oppressed for so many years. Sometimes you go from one extreme to the next. When things haven't been processed and practiced, you don't just go immediately from no voice to all of a sudden you're in a space of temperance, right? You'll probably go from one extreme to anger to rage, because enough is enough at that point. So the wrath of a person that has been abused back to back to back, because everything's connected. Everything is connected. The things we're experiencing on a collective level, globally, we're also, you just break it down to every system that helped to create the greater picture. And it starts from within each and every one of us. And the more each and every one of us does our own internal work and takes responsibility and takes ownership for the things that have caused us pain, and we want to break up the patterns and create something new, we know that it has to start from the root. And we have to do the work. Sometimes you jump in the water and sometimes you take it step by step. You just kind of have to know yourself and know what's best for you and just try different things, right? There's so many tools out there, and I'm a big fan of finding your cocktail. I don't believe that there is one blanket right way. We all process differently, we all think differently, we all learn differently. The reconditioning process is a real thing. People can get re-traumatized when healing isn't being done. And a lot of this stuff has just been coming up for me lately because I've been getting triggered, and the trigger will have me recall a memory from childhood where a certain incident happened and how I felt about something, and I will notice a physical reaction. I want to do another video soon about some of the growing up Haitian and some of the traumas that we inherited. I kind of want to make it lighthearted because I'm not angry about these things anymore, but they're still serious enough. Too often we make fun and don't give enough weight to the impact that it had on our lives and that we're still coping through, so I don't want to skip over the emotional effects. But at the same time, we know that a lot of these things were just so outrageous. There's so many secrets in families. No one wants to talk about anything. No one wants to process anything. And that's part of the disease. That's part of the problem. That's part of why we keep repeating the same cycles and we don't grow and we don't heal, because we're still carrying the wounds and the traumas of our past and how it affected them, because a lot of times they don't even know how it affected them or what to do about it, and a lot of our parents' generations, they kind of see it as, well, what's the point of talking about it? It happened so long ago, just leave it in the past, don't bring it up, just move past it, push through. And it's like, yeah, we would love to do that, and we do that all day. We skip over grief, we skip over mourning, we skip over so many emotions just to push through and pretend that we're happy and everything is all good. You just stay strong. You don't tell nobody your business and how things are going, and if you only had one meal today, or if you had nowhere to sleep, or whatever, you just don't let people know about your struggles. And if you can't let people know about your struggles, then you can't ask for help, right? If you can't ask for help, then you're somehow internalizing that where you're at is shameful, that there's something to be ashamed about, and that, you're afraid that you're going to be judged, you're not going to be loved. Somehow everything gets misconstrued, and we can't improve and get better without addressing them and then being adamant about the solutions, finding the solutions, implementing the solutions, in order to really shift. And if we can't do that, then shifting, it just feels like this fantasy, this idea in your mind that can never actually be materialized, because there's so many blockages preventing that from happening. Proper action can't be taken. And so I have found myself a lot in sort of the self-sabotage mode or the autopilot mode, because I was just being silent and not knowing how to express. I always wanted some sort of community, but at the same time, when I had it, I didn't really know how to function in it. So even interacting with people, I've just always felt pretty awkward. And that's just one side of me, you know. Other people will probably tell you, like, oh my God, Barbara's a social butterfly and she knows how to interact with people and she's this and she's that. And it's like, well, that's one aspect of me too. That's the aspect of me that's trying to bust out of my shell, you know. And I love that part of me and I want to live there more often than not. But I'm also just a hermit, and I do like my quiet time and I do like my space. Do your best to ground during this time. It's so important. We're releasing so much, we're expressing so much, so we're gonna feel drained, we're gonna feel heavy. This is heavy shit that we're dealing with. So a lot of us who have experienced that type of oppression and bullying and pushback and confinement, we are the ones that are stepping up and out now to let our voices be heard. We place so much judgment on people and we don't seek understanding enough, and we don't seek to empathize with people. Everyone has a side, everyone has a story. I don't have all the answers. I'm still figuring shit out. I'm just grateful. I'm grateful to still be here. I'm grateful for the teachers that have come into my life, that have deposited their beauty and their messages, their love and their support. Number one thing I found is that people want people that genuinely care. Subscribe for more videos, and I will see you next time. Be blessed, be well, and take care of yourself.